minute, I will take you through this amazingness today.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bukky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are.
This week on The Inside Story, U.S. President Joe Biden vows a response to Iran-allied militias blamed for the deaths of 3 American service members in Jordan, tightening tensions in the Middle East as Israel's war on Hamas sparks wider regional conflict, the flow of goods interrupted by Houthi militants in a key supply route, and we continue our coverage of Russia's war on Ukraine, now just weeks away from entering its 3rd year. Now, on The Inside Story, military conflicts.
Catherine Gibson from Washington. It's been almost 4 months since militant Hamas fighters conducted a pre-dawn raid inside Israel. Over 1,000 people were killed and over 100 were taken hostage. The Israeli response has caused tens of thousands of Palestinian deaths and created a humanitarian crisis, now made worse by charges some UN relief agency workers were involved in the October 7th attacks. And as the Israeli military offensive continues, fighting has expanded outward, claiming the lives of U.S. troops and drawing the U.S. military into the conflict. It is also threatening the flow of economic goods through the Red Sea and beyond. All this and a look at the situation in Europe and Ukraine on today's Inside Story. President Joe Biden is vowing to respond after a drone strike by Iranian-backed militias killed 3 U.S. service members in northeast Jordan near the Syrian border. The White House says the attack was carried out by Iranian-backed militant groups, and that has some Republican members of Congress urging President Biden to go straight to the source and attack Iran. Iran denies any involvement. Any response by the U.S. is likely to further escalate and expand the conflict sparked by the October 7th Hamas attack on Israel. From Washington, VOA's Anita Powell starts us off this week.
The White House is under pressure to react after a drone strike Sunday killed 3 U.S. service members in Jordan, an act Washington blames on Iranian-backed militias operating in nearby Syria and Iraq. Administration officials expressed confidence that Iran was behind the attack, but did not give details. Nor would officials lay out their next move.
I am not going to telegraph any punches here from the podium, nor will I get in front of the president or his decision-making. As he said yesterday, we will respond. We'll do that on our schedule, in our time, and we'll do it in the manner of the president's choosing as commander-in-chief. We'll also do it fully cognizant of the fact that these groups, backed by Tehran, have just taken the lives of American troops.
But Kirby said, one thing is clear.
We are not looking for a war with Iran. We are not seeking a conflict with the regime in a military way.
Iranian officials on Monday denied responsibility.
We are not seeking tensions even with America, inside or outside the region. The Islamic Republic of Iran seriously believes in political solutions to international and regional disputes.
The head of NATO in Washington on Monday also expressed his concerns and pointed a finger at Iran.
We see Iran continue to destabilize the region. Iran also bears responsibility for backing terrorists who attack ships in the Red Sea. Tehran's behavior reminds us of what a world without rules look like. Unpredictable and dangerous, a world where our security becomes more expensive.
It is also clear that this strike is part of the fallout from Israel's ongoing military operation in Gaza, after militant group Hamas conducted a stunning attack on civilians on October 7th. And analysts say one more thing is clear.
The U.S. strategy, if it was starting 3 months ago, not to let regional tensions escalate, that strategy has failed.
And from Jordan's capital, far from the drone strike, residents and analysts say they feel this represents a new phase in this conflict.
That represents a new dimension of this conflict, actually targeting the American troops inside Jordan or on the Jordanian border represents that this targeting is expanding from Syria to Iraq and now to Jordan.
So what now? It rests on these shoulders.
Last night in the Middle East, we lost 3 brave souls in an attack on one of our bases.
Yes.
And I'd ask for a moment of silence for all 3 of those fallen soldiers.
Jesus.
And we shall respond.
Anita Powell, VOA News, Washington.
Just across the border from where UNRWA operates, Israel says that agency is politicized and has perpetuated the Palestinian refugee issue. Palestinians say UNRWA is important for providing essential services, especially now with the war in Gaza. Linda Gradstein has this report.
The U.S. Congress is holding hearings this week into whether the United States should permanently defund UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency in charge of supporting the 1.5 million Palestinians defined as refugees in Gaza. Some major donors, including the United States, have suspended UNRWA's funding in response to recent Israeli revelations that UNRWA staff actively participated in the October 7th Hamas massacre in Israel that killed roughly 1,200 people. Israel has presented evidence of acts committed by at least 12 UNRWA staffers, including kidnapping an Israeli woman and participating in a massacre on a kibbutz. In addition, about 10% of UNRWA's Gaza employees have links to Islamist groups, and 50% have close relatives who belong to those groups, according to UN Watch, the watchdog group bringing evidence to the Congressional Committee.
UN Watch is releasing a new report entitled UNRWA's Terrorgram, where we expose a Telegram chat group of 3,000 UNRWA teachers in Gaza. The purpose of the group is to exchange information for UNRWA teachers, but interspersed among 249,000 messages that we downloaded before they would be deleted, they repeatedly celebrate terrorism on October 7th and thereafter.
UNRWA has a staff of 13,000 in Gaza, most of them teachers in UNRWA schools. In response to the Israeli allegations, the agency says it has fired 9 people and will continue to investigate. But some Israeli analysts say the problem with UNRWA goes far beyond today's crisis. They say that UNRWA has perpetuated the status of Palestinians as refugees for political reasons rather than resettling them like refugees from other conflicts.
UNRWA is started as a temporary agency with good intentions to settle the Arab refugees from the war of 47, 48, 49. Tens of millions of refugees were settled at the time from post-imperial wars. None of them, nor their hundreds of millions of descendants, are called refugees today. They've moved on to build new lives, except the Palestinians.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said the Israeli evidence against UNRWA is, quote, highly credible, but also said that UNRWA plays a crucial role in distributing needed aid in Gaza. Palestinian officials say defunding UNRWA will be collective punishment and make the difficult humanitarian situation during the war in Gaza even worse.
This step simultaneously taken during the war in Gaza sends a wrong message. There is a war against the Palestinian people. This decision is incorrect and should be stopped immediately. We urge all these countries to repay the UNRWA because it's a humanitarian issue.
Palestinians fear that if UNRWA is unable to operate in Gaza, the more than 1 million people sheltering in UNRWA schools will suffer an even greater humanitarian crisis. Linda Gradstein, VOA News, Jerusalem.
Israel's war on Hamas continues to sow chaos beyond Israel's borders. Hundreds of cargo ships moving from Asia to Europe are now avoiding the Red Sea and Suez Canal route due to persistent attacks and hijackings by Houthi militants responding to the war. The International Chamber of Shipping, a major trade group, says these incidents are causing significant disruptions in global commerce. That means higher costs and delays. Jonathan Spire narrates this report from Alfonso Bateo in Barcelona, one of the main ports in Europe handling cargo from the Red Sea.
Activity is up at the port of Barcelona, where major shipping companies are now entering the Mediterranean, opting to circumnavigate Africa to avoid Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. The violence has disrupted a crucial trade route at the Suez Canal between Asia and Europe. The European Shippers Council says the attacks have increased shipping costs, with carriers imposing substantial surcharges per container.
Well, since the vessels were diverted